This is Snakes and Otters, a pointless discussion of eternal questions. Get ready. We're about to live in your head rent-free. Hello, Otterites. This is Robert. I've already effed up the opening because we're no longer using episode numbers in the opening. Anyways, this is Snakes and Otters.
I am Martin.
And I'm Robert.
And I'm Francis.
Oh my goodness.
You are forgiven.
That's right.
I've had some bourbon today, so I'm probably not in my right mind. I'm never really in my right mind.
I was just saying, what is a right mind anyway?
That's right. So, code of honor.
Yeah, it's OG week.
It's OG week. Yes.
Oh yeah, this is we've already done this once this last episode. I'm liking this, guys. I missed you guys. It's just us. I love our guy. I do. Love the other three. We always have some great fun and great stuff. But there's something to be said for the original.
Right. And it's not that those guys don't bring something to the show. They absolutely do. But we did almost 200 episodes. We did 200 episodes.
That's right.
Yeah, we did at least 200 episodes.
Hail the Empire.
Hail the Empire.
Hail the Empire. That's right.
Just the three of us.
Yeah.
And so, and we do tend to dominate a little bit when we record.
It isn't so.
Partially because we don't know when to shut up.
Somehow we've managed that, though.
But it does feel like it's kind of our baby.
It is.
Like we have 3 additional caregivers now, but it's our baby.
Yeah, and they do defer to us rightly or wrongly, but which is fine, and we do, and I would like, no matter what, if there's only ever one of us 3 available, I think we don't record that month, or we
it kind of feels like it's got to be 2 of the OGs.
Yeah, that's right.
Kind of
and at least one of the
put the sign
put the pontifical cross on it and let's move.
Yeah,
that's right.
Again, because I do love having them. I do. They have brought
been an amazing
interesting dimension to the show.
That's right.
So, anyways, we're doing Code of Honor. We're here, Studio R, in the atrium rather than the man cave.
I do like that. I like that. We couldn't do this with all of us.
No.
With
very
3,
pleasant.
it works out very well.
We could do 4, maybe 5, but we could never do all 6 in here. 5 would be tight.
5 will be right out, one might say.
5
referring to our last episode with Monty Python.
I mean, even 4 makes it tough to get to the door.
Yes.
So.
I mean, if we could do it, we would just, again, it would be a little bit tight. It'd be, and that's fine. I even thought about setting us up in the living room because I knew that nobody would really be coming through all that much.
Well, that's the way we do it when we're at my place, and it does.
You
work.
don't have anybody other than your wife in the house though now.
And she's prompted and she's prepped and she knows it's coming.
But there's
I mean, Studio F is a expansive, comfortable. I do enjoy.
Yeah, it works out very well. I mean, we've done Johnny's Game Room for a while, but with 3 of us, that's okay. It's not going to work for the rest of us, and it just kind of like we said.
You have that nice peak ceiling. It gives a nice, airy, open.
Yeah, we don't feel
makes
claustrophobic.
it feel big.
That's right. Yeah. And we're there next time around, so we'll talk a little bit about that at the end. But you've got a quote, Robert.
So yes, Code of Honor. So even though it's just the 3 of us, and we did go OG style a couple months ago,
and we considered doing it again, but
thought about it. But I didn't give these guys enough notice, so they didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I didn't have anything.
And Robert or Martin doesn't do anything without a plan. He's half Russian.
Must be. That's right.
That's right.
Don't take a dump, son, without a plan.
Right.
If you didn't do it, I was going to.
So Code of Honor, and it's just gonna be the one quote, mine, and we'll discuss it and see where we go with that. And to be honest, listeners,
you get to be the hammer again.
Yes, but not exactly because I'm not
quite the same.
Yeah, because I'm not tying your quotes into mine, together with mine. That's why I consider, because I do kind of miss being the hammer in that respect. It's harder to do with 6 quotes.
Yeah, maybe we will someday.
Or one quote, I mean.
Yeah,
6 perspectives.
When we know we're going to be 3 again.
Yeah.
Let's make a plan, and we'll do it OG style. We'll have quotes and let you be the hammer again.
We can do that. Yeah, from time to time.
We respect the hammer.
Yeah, we weren't prepared this time.
Yes,
but
you must respect my hammer.
That's right. Thank you, Cartman.
Yeah.
Thank
you. So my quote, Martin will love this because I chose a Camus.
Oh, yeah, we've done a lot of...
that's very appropriate to go from the absurdity of Monty Python
to Camus, yes.
I mean, it's almost...
It's almost Camusian.
Yeah, I mean, you have to think that it's...
Push the button on that one. That deserves a button, yeah.
Word boner.
Because you didn't just do that.
Camusian.
You made that shit up, and it worked.
No, I think I've heard that people. I think
I've said Camusian or.
Well, but still, it's worthy of a word boner.
Absolutely, I think it's brilliant.
But
absolutely,
almost certainly they were familiar with with his
Oh,
ideas.
absolutely. That time, yeah.
Yeah.
Quick before we go on, for those listeners that maybe have not heard last week's or 2 weeks ago episode, Cajun is taking care of the pirate queen who has fallen ill from some seaborne
Malady.
scourge and malady.
Yeah.
So he's taking care
Very
of her.
commendable. Very commendable.
Yes. Got to take care of the pirate queen. Marcus, the Imperator and the Imperatrix, were dealing with the death of a loved pet that
which
belonged to their
did
son.
occur. He sent
Yes,
us.
yeah,
Yeah. Diesel's on the Rainbow Bridge.
Yeah, Diesel has passed, and that was a very difficult thing because that was their son's pet.
Yeah, many good thoughts.
So that's hard. I get that, and don't. I hope I never have to go with even a tenth of the stuff that they've had to go through.
Amen.
So, and on that happy note.
Oh, and Brother Andre is.
Oh yes, and Brother Andre is in the wilds of
Manitoba.
Manitoba, yes.
Yeah, handing out Tim Hortons.
Yes, feeding the poor and needy in Manitoba.
Yeah,
with
round bacon and Tim Hortons.
Ham.
Go ahead.
And poutine.
It's in poutine, yes.
He's making poutine in Manitoba.
That's right. We should have used that the first episode.
I know. I can't believe I forgot
that
about
almost
poutine.
deserves
Tim Hortons
a word
was
boner.
just as good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poutine almost deserves a word.
Almost, but I mean,
it's a thing. So.
That's right.
So, anyways, the Camus
Tell them
quote,
Canadians to stuff their poutine holes and let's get
that's
busy.
right.
Ooh, he went there. Okay, let's go.
So
Canada, America's hat.
I have way more. I'm just ignoring that because otherwise we'll just never get to it. Does that make Mexico our skirt?
Well, possibly, but it's what does it make Florida is the real question.
Well, it's true. Yeah.
Oh, damn, he did go there. That's right. Yes, the thing which pisses on Cuba. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
if Canada's America's hat, what does that make Florida?
Well, considering all the old folks that live there, it understands why it just hangs down all the time.
Well,
it's a little limp.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just
I tell you,
Again,
the more
Monty
I try to
Python,
get out, they
Monty-
pull me back in.
We just finished a Monty Python episode.
Well, just be glad some of the other guys weren't here. That would have been a lot more explicit.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. We
All right. So, what is your Camus quote?
So this is from Resistance, Rebellion, and Death.
Right. So that's kind of his first.
Very important, high-end, optimistic shit.
Yes, exactly.
right.
Camus sort of worked in a cycle of he would essay, novel, and play
Right.
to demonstrate his ideas, and they were kind of coupled, the three things.
Right.
And I think that's kind of the initial essay.
Yeah, and honestly, I was really surprised at how many Camus quotes I had as a potential because
Before we ever talked about him, right?
Yeah.
Just
we read Camus in I did. I don't know if you guys did in one of my philosophy
I don't recall that.
No.
No.
You know what it was? It was in. Oh no, it wasn't philosophy. It was one of the theology classes I had with Father. Oh man, I can't remember his name.
You're zipping off of it. Well, I had Father Zoller, Father Kilcourse. It was Father Kilcourse. I had him twice. That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
it was basically theology and literature kind of.
Okay, that was a different class than.
And
the
so
rest of
we
us
talked
had.
about the plague in that class.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I've gotten to know Father Kilcourse in my role of what I do, and he's still around.
I always
Great
really
guy.
liked him. Yes.
Really great guy. He's done a lot of good stuff. Yeah.
So, anyways, this is the quote. And I should like to be able to love my country and still love justice. I don't want any greatness for it, particularly a greatness born of blood and falsehood. I want to keep it alive by keeping justice alive.
Keeping the love alive by keeping
the country alive.
Keeping the country alive.
That's okay.
Yeah. At least that's how I
Keeping
interpret
the
it.
love of country
Yes,
alive.
I should like to be able to love my country and still love justice. I don't want to keep any greatness for it, particularly a greatness born of blood and falsehood. I want to keep it, meaning the country or my love of country, alive by keeping justice alive.
Ooh, it goes back. So he is presuming then the primacy of justice.
Yes.
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 That was a focus of
the very Camusian.
I mean, if you accept the notion of the absurdity of life, then what are the values then that you can live by? And certainly justice would have to be at the top because that's all about our relationship to each other.
But then again, in an absurdist approach, that would be ill-defined at times.
Well, that's the problem with
That's right. That would have been something he would have struggled with.
That's right.
Because
Yeah, that's
to
what I'm
him,
thinking,
there would have been an absolute quality to justice.
Ah,
See, that's the problem with all non-faith-based definitions of justice, because
Right.
there's no
where's the underpinning?
right. There's no exactly. There's no
Yeah, where's-
underpinning. There's no foundation
Yeah.
What's
for
justice?
it other than what I feel.
Right. Again, that's
And
that's
it
that's
could be very
the central issue.
dictatorial. I mean,
Yeah.
Yes.
it's
It's a form of justice. Whether or not it's proper
Well, yeah,
or actually just is a different thing. Justice and being just are not the same thing.
Yeah.
they're actually mutually exclusive.
No.
Could be mutually exclusive.
In a political system, they often are. I think.
Yeah, that's where I'm going.
But justice often pertains to laws. But
Yeah.
I think, at least my interpretation here, is he's talking about being just
There's a
as a society.
there's a presumption that laws therefore are just.
Yes. And by just, we mean, pardon for delving into this first thing, because usually I bring this in much later, respecting the inherent dignity of the human person.
Yeah, that's
That, to me, that's the core of being just.
Right. And,
correct.
and
Yeah,
that
and I
would
think
have
that's
been, even though he was not a faith-based philosopher, that would have been at the core of his philosophy, though.
It'd certainly
that's-
be a component of
He
it. I
is,
don't know if it was,
as a leftist, as a European leftist, he would have been expected to move into, and be apologetic for communism, but he was an anti-communist. He was
that explains why you like him.
Yeah, he's focused
Well, I don't
on the
mean that as
individual.
disparaging, but
Right. I mean, but it's a focus on the individual for him.
because for you to like someone who is quote unquote liberal, that's unusual.
Right.
Well,
and
well,
a piece
define,
of it
but you
too-
have to define
right. The
liberal.
piece of it
No, I
you have to
understand. Yeah,
figure
sorry.
too is a European liberal is probably different from an American liberal. It's-
Oh, absolutely.
Especially,
And we're not
yeah.
talking about economics, or we're talking about
When you talk philosophy,
philosophical.
I mean,
guess.
basically, in Europe, when you talk European politics, a conservative is a monarchist, and
Yes.
and a liberal is a Republican.
Okay, all right. Which they're
Small R Republican, meaning we think our form of government should be a republic,
yes,
and
exactly.
then whatever that looks
representative
like,
of
yeah,
the people.
rather
Correct.
than a monarch.
So you would consider yourself a European liberal,
a classical liberal, yes.
classically speaking. That's correct.
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
right.
Well, as I've said many times,
I'm an
you know,
Austrian economics fan.
there you go. I mean, that's almost a word boner.
Yeah. So,
phrase.
listeners, if you're not familiar with the Austrian school, that's your homework assignment from this episode.
All right,
That's
there
right.
you go.
But I've pointed this out many times, and Martin, I can always see Martin bristle a little bit when I point this out, but he can't argue with it philosophically. Libertarians are the true liberals in
Yeah.
American politics.
Oh, absolutely. That's correct.
But that's the thing, though. Most libertarians think of themselves as more to the right than anything else.
They think of themselves as conservative, which is kind of
well, not necessarily
I
conservative.
was going to say because the
because-
entire
because-
entire language is absurd. To go back to Camus,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they are the most for leave me alone. Don't tell me what to do with, depending on the wing of libertarians, my money or my body. Sometimes then you also have that small portion that is both.
Yeah.
Because being pro-abortion actually fits very well into a true libertarian philosophy.
Yeah.
Because it is truly the most liberal. It's about personal liberty. That's where liberty comes from, is liberal, or vice versa.
Well, yeah, I think kind of the vice versa seems to me to be the most effective. It's both, of course,
Yeah.
but I like
I
that
mean,
language.
you can't have one without the other. So, anyways, so yes, he is a classical liberal, which is, some of that we've taken on as in America. I mean,
Right,
most
right.
of America is liberal either way. You're just either liberal economically or socially.
Yeah, I mean,
Isn't that
when
an
you
interesting
discuss classical liberalism in a European context, that just means you're not a monarchist.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I like to go deeper with that. If one is considered a monarchist, one is considered an absolutist of government.
Not necessarily, I don't
See,
think.
we Americans
I mean,
in
it's-
1780, 1775 would have absolutely defined monarchist as absolutist. Those of us, the founding fathers, that was their
That is
entire
always
criticism.
the fear.
That's fear and the
that's-
criticism of
and
the
again,
time of George
Camus-
III in that
Yeah, I
particular.
mean, Camus' milieu
Go ahead and hit it. Yeah, that one always.
What he grows up in, of course, is the legacy of the French Revolution.
Yeah.
And this tension between the monarchists, and we can't let them come back, but then they're very strong and
they're effective.
The swing
and
and
they
get
Napoleon and Napoleon
when you've
III
got
and
external
back and
enemies
forth and
on
back
your
and forth.
doorstep, monarchy looks very appealing because, daggone it, they keep, the Huns away.
Well, it's not just a monarch. It's because we are well past the age of a absolutist monarch.
Right.
It's the dictator.
Yes, to use the Roman term, you're exactly right.
Well, in the modern term,
and that is true.
Or
That's
where such that the tyranny of the state is de facto a dictator.
Right, and again, in this French concept of immediately after the revolution, they feel like they have to export it as a defensive measure because they're surrounded by monarchies.
Yes,
and there's an irony that the only way that happens is under a greater dictator, Bonaparte.
Yeah. That essentially
they acknowledge that we love this freedom
republic and
liberté, égalité, fraternity, but we still got to have a strong executive, a militaristic executive, in order.
What ended up being the consul, yeah.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
I can't wait till we discuss Napoleon with you because I know you're dying to do.
Well, that's coming up soon. We're going to do a two-parter on Napoleon soon.
You're talking about that. We didn't have to export it because we were surrounded by monarchs. But we have a similar thing, because actually ours came first, a similar situation. We had the
dominance of a monarch?
No. The Articles of Confederation.
Right, yeah,
which was very much a libertarian.
Yeah, I mean, it was a focus on the legislative branch.
Well, more so, it was a focus on the state's power.
Yeah,
because you can't ignore it, and that's what the Articles of Confederation figured out. Is maybe this whole business of
no, that's what the people in government figured out. Yeah, we
figured it out.
We can't govern. Yeah, the Articles didn't figure it out.
Well, yeah, it's a neutral. It's a blunt.
Well, they understood. They came to understand through.
We can't get anything done.
Through the leadership of like Hamilton and Washington, that if you can't raise revenue, you can't do anything.
Right. You're not really a country.
And therein lies one of the great dirty little secrets about the entire concept, which I think we're exploring here, and I think it's worthy of exploration, is every organization, shall we say, but political organization as in nationalistic entity that exists.
Remember that word, because I have a comment about that.
Okay. Every nationalistic entity that exists or has existed, in order for it to succeed in any fashion, by whatever measure you make that, must have a relatively strong executive branch, if you want to go that way.
Well, not necessarily branch. Figure.
So,
for instance,
put it in one person or put it in one entity, in one organization.
When we look at Great Britain, the monarch has no real power. I mean, yes, technically the monarch could do things, but the monarch has not done the things that it could do.
It knows better in many ways.
Many decades.
It would be quite the crisis.
It would, because
for King Charles to try to intervene in the government.
Right.
He only does
theoretically, he could dissolve Parliament and call for totally new elections,
which he does regularly.
Well, no, he only does that when there's a vote of no confidence.
That's correct, but that happens regularly.
The monarch relies on the government to then say, "We want to hold elections."
Yes, but he could still do it now. He could say, because he picks the.
They serve at his pleasure.
They pick the prime minister from Parliament as the leader, and it's kind of a de facto. Well, yes, all right. I don't like you or your politics, but I don't really have any other choice. Go form a government for me.
Yeah.
Figure it all out.
But theoretically,
right? Because I mean, it's His Majesty's government,
right,
etc. But
he could, conceivably say
he could walk out tomorrow and go, "Well, I'm calling for elections."
Yeah, because I don't like the way you're governing. Now, this would be an interesting experiment over there.
Right. I mean, what would happen? It would be a huge crisis for them.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be a huge crisis because it's in living memory. It's not happened.
It's not happened. Yeah.
But since he has to basically affirm who's going to be the prime minister.
Yeah.
His vote of confidence.
Has he ever opposed?
Well, like I said, not in living
not
memory.
in living memory. That's correct.
This is the kind of thing that probably happens in the background.
The last monarch to like kick back a parliamentary preference for prime minister, I think, was maybe George IV.
So again,
Fourth. Okay, you're going way back. You're talking about 1830s, 40s.
Or William IV. I mean, it was.
Yeah, you're talking right before Victoria.
We're talking pre-Victoria, yes.
Right.
Nobody's done it since
Which
then.
changed everything, by the way. We should do a Queen Victoria episode. That would actually be very fascinating.
But
because that changed so many things.
The point, though, about all of that, is that even though the head of state really is the monarch, functionally, it's the prime minister.
Yeah.
That's the executive. He comes from the legislature, but he is still functionally so in a way, yes, but it doesn't have to be an entire branch of government is where I'm going with it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's right.
So in other words, there still has to be a leader.
Yeah.
One man with a vision.
Well, it goes,
or woman.
Well, that's right. Sibling. That's right. It kind of goes, in many respects, it goes back to, like they said in Battlestar Galactica, for better or worse, there can only be one leader.
Yes.
And that's, in that...
Whether it's imperious or not.
That's right. And it goes back... Well, actually, it was Commander Kane versus Commander Adama at the time, which we remember that. But it's a very good study of just because you're successful on the battlefield doesn't necessarily make you the right leader, but also just because you're successful on the political side doesn't necessarily make you the right leader. And I think that's where the tension is in what you're talking about here is what does make that good leader?
So... yes, we talked a little bit about this at breakfast.
Yeah.
Going back to what you're talking about, national. You probably didn't mean it nationalistic in the way I'm going to use it.
Okay, go ahead. That's right.
Talk about this.
Roll with that beautiful bean footage.
So one of the things that strikes me with this, because he's talking about love of country.
Yeah.
But he also wants the country to be just. All right, which I think is a laudable goal.
He sees that as the supreme.
Yes,
virtue. I would agree with that. I think that without that, there's what's worth anything.
And he says he doesn't want any greatness for it, and I don't think that means he doesn't want his country to be great. I think it means he's not looking for it to be great above all others necessarily. Well, particularly a greatness born of blood and falsehood. Yeah. To me, this is the difference between patriotism and nationalism.
Ooh, that's very good. Yes, because
patriotism is you want your country to be good for the sake of being good.
That's right.
You love your country because it is good, not nationalism where you love your country because you think it is superior, meaning all others are inferior. So there's a judgment of value of others.
So Camus, and we're talking about what, 1950s, 60s at this point?
This would probably be the 50s, yeah.
Okay. This would have been late 40s, early 50s.
So this is certainly
again very early. Yeah.
Certainly post World War II.
Actually, he was well known prior to World War II, so some of his material is prior.
That's kind of where I'm going.
A lot of it is this. Almost certainly, this is post.
It almost has
post.
It has to be because to me he's making a very clear distinction of the fact
this could be
post Nuremberg. Actually,
well, no, this could still be pre World War II if he's thinking of the communist revolution and how it plays out in Russia.
Interesting.
Because
good question if that's what he's referring
to. Probably not, though.
He's probably not, but he is anti-communist.
You know him best, I think,
he would have,
Martin.
I mean, again, what he's living in the 30s is Franco's right next door.
Right.
Sure. Hitler's right next door.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
And France is struggling. France, when you talk about governments falling, it's happening
left and right.
I mean, when the toast pops out of the toaster, the government falls.
Very good. I love how you do this.
That's good.
That's absolutely brilliant. It shows that the absurdity.
Yeah,
we're talking about here.
When you talk about finding a structure with stability, what does that look like? Does that have to look like a strong executive?
Well,
they had a strong executive in the directory, and they still weren't stable.
Hang on, let me ask a question though. I find it interesting that we started talking about government structures. I especially find it interesting that the three of us started talking government structures.
Yeah.
He's not saying I should like to be able to love my government.
No.
He's talking about the country.
The country.
The country and the government are not the same.
Right. And
now in Europe maybe it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, he's certainly, again, from the tone of this, I am thinking probably is post. It could be pre.
That's what I seem to.
Yeah, I would think
probably
what I
post-war,
discern. Yeah.
But I forget when he wrote that particular essay. But again, the idea that this Napoleonic greatness of France was born through, blood and trial. He's rejecting that idea that a country's greatness is forged in its victories.
Oh, that's very Bonaparte. Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
he's
Oh, I mean, it's also
and France
very much could be a response to Hitler.
Yes. You're not. Your greatness is not forged. It's kind of that thing
on the battlefield
that we say. Again here, you're not judged on how great you are. You need to be judged on how you treat others.
Right. So why I say this is the difference between patriotism and nationalism is that it's what you're talking about. Because again, that victory over others, it's saying I'm better than you.
Yeah.
And whether that be militarily,
like
morally, or whatever.
Who would you rather spend time around? Richard Nixon, who rose to be the most powerful person in the world, or someone who tips a waiter well?
Right.
Well, someone who tips a waiter well is probably a really nice person.
There have probably been some presidents I would have liked to have hung around with, at least, have a beer with or something.
Yes. Quite a few.
Yeah.
I mean, on that rare occasion when we elect a genuinely nice person, which doesn't happen very much, we say we want to do that.
Right.
But we never do.
I bet W throws a nice dinner party.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day about like someone like Herbert Hoover. All of this, our current memory is Jimmy Carter. We think he's this wonderful guy, this humanitarian. It's like, look.
Who thinks? Oh, like humanitarian. Okay.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, but the perception is out there. I mean, to me, he's just a sanctimonious prick. But
tell us how you really feel.
Yeah. This image of him, Habitat for Humanity, blah blah. Look, Jimmy Carter couldn't carry Herbert Hoover's jockstrap. Herbert Hoover fed Europe twice. Like this was the president who was the real humanitarian.
Okay,
who's the real hero of the 20th century? It's freaking Herbert Hoover.
We need to take a bourbon break in a few minutes.
And he's looked at as like one of the greatest losers in history.
Well, that's because he presided over the start of the Great Depression. He did not help it, end.
Right. I mean,
but
you put the shoes on the other feet, and
can you imagine Carter
when Franklin Roosevelt, if he wins earlier, and then you have the Depression. The person we would have turned to get us out of the Depression would have been somebody like Herbert Hoover.
Yeah. So before we go to bourbon break, you need to, because this is something I'm sure, because I never really considered it. So talk about Hoover feeding Europe twice. Just give us some bare bones.
Yeah, you've laid down the gauntlet. You gotta pick it back up.
Yeah, you gotta.
Because I'm not on that. I'm not knowledgeable of that.
Yeah. So.
All right, so we're bourbon breaking right now?
No, I want to hear the circumstance just real quick. How did he feed Europe twice?
Okay, so post-World War I, Europe is a shambles.
Yes, it is.
As expected,
so
yes, we understand.
He leads, I forget what the organization is called or what the circumstances are, but basically America came to Europe's rescue twice.
Between 1928 and 1932. That was his one term.
No, immediate post-war, before he's even president.
Okay.
Immediately post-war.
So where is he? Who is he at this time?
He's just a guy. He's well known.
He's not in politics at this time?
Businessman?
I believe he's a businessman. Of course, he's Secretary of Commerce.
Originally. That's what we're asking, yeah. My Hoover,
when is he Commerce Secretary?
Well,
after
that part
Mellon.
doesn't matter. Again,
Mellon.
quick is the point here.
Yeah, quick. No, again, he's a functionary. He's a businessman. He's an engineer, and he's involved in building businesses. But he gets appointed to go over to Europe and make sure that they get food aid because they're in the middle not just of the post-war, but the influenza epidemic.
All right, so this is the Harding administration.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. That's fair.
Well, immediate
influenza.
post-war.
That could have been the end of Wilson,
and the end of Wilson. So it's all going on at that same time.
Okay.
And then after World War II, it's the same circumstance.
Right.
Europe's a disaster.
Yeah.
And he does it again. Basically goes over there and heads up before the Marshall Plan.
His post-presidency period.
Yeah, post-presidency period.
Okay.
He goes over.
All right. So these are.
I didn't realize he had anything to do with the Marshall Plan.
None of us. Yeah.
I don't think he's officially in the Marshall Plan, but he is helping in Europe make sure people eat.
You're the first person I've ever heard that ever had much to say nice about.
Well,
Herbert Hoover.
I've always thought Hoover got a bad rap.
And the Spidey sense in me says that has to be the case.
I mean, he's
gets
president
the blame
for
this.
9 months when this stuff happens. Actually, no, not even 9 months, because he was still inaugurated in March. So he's president 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, he's got nothing to do
hell.
with it. He's got nothing to do with it.
So yeah, it's those are all things that were, granted, still caused by or at least influenced by Republican policies prior to him.
Yeah,
but he had, he didn't help fix it. But the things like
he was gobsmacked in many ways, as most of us were.
As our favorite economist Ben
Shapiro.
He's not an economist.
Ben Stein.
Ben Stein. Thank you.
I was tongue in cheek on that.
As he likes to point out, the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act didn't help. It did not help, as all of us.
Right. I mean, nobody knew what to do.
Right.
Nobody really knew what to do
because there had never been a global depression before.
Hoover took advice that any president would have taken and tried. None of it helped. What really helped, and what really generally helps, is stay out of the way, let the business cycle recover. It eventually will.
Well, what really got us out of the Great Depression, this is an unpopular opinion, but I truly believe it's true, is World War II.
There are many that's one of the things that we were weaned on.
We were peaking back out. Employment was up by 37, 38.
Well, 37 is when there was another. This is what, as a matter of fact, my son and I were talking about over dinner last night. A lot of people don't realize there was a recession in the middle of the Great Depression. But a recession is just 2 consecutive quarters.
Yeah, exactly.
Of negative growth.
A form of adjustment.
So we're starting to go up
again, came back up again.
Yeah. So yes,
but by 38, employment's better.
Yeah, but it's still way too high.
We're still gearing up. There's starting to be some drive back for consumer products.
Well, I think,
then once you start making the war orders,
and that had started in the late 30s too, because not everything was
right. I mean, there is the drive to rearm.
Yes, because they see what's
beginning to happen.
That's right, and everybody sees our connection with Britain in particular. We're starting the Lend-Lease program begins in.
That's more like 42.
Right, but
I think it's even earlier than that.
Yeah, but
because that happens before we get into the war.
That's correct. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, so it's more like 41 then.
40. I think it's
40
like 39 or 40.
It's 39 or 40 is where we're talking about.
It's very early.
Yeah. Roosevelt faced a considerable opposition to because we didn't want to get involved again. But so that's one of the things that you remember the movie Darkest Hour.
Nope.
You should. Oh, I'm so.
Well, I mean, I'm in the middle of rewatching The World at War.
Oh, with Olivier.
Nice.
Oh, fantastic. It explains it very well. Darkest Hour was with Gary Oldman. He won an Oscar for it, I believe, as his portrayal of Winston Churchill. I mean, you may have seen it, but it talks about that. And there's a moment where he's calling, and this is 39-40. I forget exactly where it falls, but it's 39 and 40. And he calls Roosevelt and says, I need stuff. And he said, well, if we can drag it across across the border into Canada, you can have it. But I can't give it to you. So at this point, it's eventually Lend-Lease is what comes out of that.
Right. It's I'll gladly pay you Tuesday for a tank today.
That's right, and that's
I mean, that's
kind of a wink, wink, shake, shake. We're still going to do this, but we can't really be seen to do this
because we never got paid for most of that stuff.
No, and it was the right decision to do.
What Roosevelt called it was, if your neighbor's house is on fire, you loan him a hose.
That's right. Ultimately, that's how
you don't charge him up front for the hose.
That's how he
loan him the hose.
That's how
and then he'll pay you back.
And that's how they ended. That's how he ended up doing it.
Sold.
But this was at this time because this is right at the beginning of the Battle of Britain. This is when they're going to decide. This is when we're going to fight you on the beaches.
Right.
This is the fall of France, and Battle of Britain is coming, and Roosevelt has become. And it's a wonderful moment in there where King George V says, "Form me a government." That's where this is. Right. And Neville Chamberlain is still a force.
Nice linkage back to the topic.
Oh, thank you. And that's where Neville Chamberlain is still in charge, and It's a brilliant movie, and of course, Ullman deserves every credit for portrayal of that and of this. And it ends with the speech. We will fight them on the beaches, and it's when Neville Chamberlain acquiesces because he still controls the government, and he does this via a handkerchief that he shows. That's kind of the deal. Is he's not going to say it. This is so very British. We're not going to come out and say this thing, but if I move my handkerchief and wipe my face, then I'm telling all you guys, vote for this. I'm okay with this. And, of course, that's what changes the tide because Chamberlain still controls the votes. And even though his party has set aside, without them, nothing's going to happen. They still control a huge swath.
And on that note, which is way more than ever wanted to know about what happened with the British at that time
Worth
period.
your time. The movie was worth it.
Yeah, but it really didn't have anything to do with talking about Hoover, which was the last bit that I wanted to quickly cover before.
Anyway, U.S. Food Administration.
Bourbon break.
All right.
Okay, fine.
U.S. Food Administration is what Hoover led in the immediate aftermath of World War I and the global food crisis.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
We've put the exclamation.
What I hoped would be a 2-minute, which again I should have known better.
You should have known better.
Was 7 minutes.
Okay, well that's fine.
It took 7 minutes to explain that he fed Europe twice, and only about 3 minutes of that discussion was talking about him feeding Europe twice.
In fairness, you did ask him to explain.
I asked him to explain. I did not ask you to expound on all of the other stuff.
It comes with the territory.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. That's why I say I should have known better.
That's right.
I should have known better.
Absolutely.
Anyways, it is bourbon break.
Damn straight.
And we are once again drinking out of my stash. We have yet to make Brother Andre understand that he does not have to bring bourbon to our houses when we do this.
That's kind of the point.
Although I think when we met at your place for it, he did not.
That's right. Build your
Not
own
the second
stash.
time. He built it. He brought once, and I said, "No, you're drinking mine."
That's right.
Because I said bring beverages, and I said that means bring what you want to drink with lunch.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. And
because almost every time we've been at
when we come to your house, we'll be drinking your stash. You get your chance then.
Right. So, anyways, we all have different things. Hello, Nemo. We are grand dogs sitting this afternoon, so second daughters.
And of course, the first person he jumps on is Rancis.
Yes, I love it.
The non-dog person.
Just be glad Bryn, little miss, is scared to death of people.
People.
Yeah, people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, for her, anybody new is not me, Mrs. Robert, or the boy, or the mother-in-law.
But yeah,
she's finally warming up to the mother-in-law and the boy.
I speak of my niece's 3 children. The youngest one, who's just about to turn 2, has said there are 2 people in this world. There's Mama and not a Mama.
Exactly.
And that's where it goes. So he's definitely a mama's boy. My niece is that's just kind of the way it is. And I told her that. I said, hey, that's how it goes. That's he'll eventually get over that.
Yes.
And I'm not sure. Daddy may be a thing, but every time I see him, it's always Mama.
It's probably later.
Mama and not the Mama. That's all it is.
Anyways, so what are we drinking, gentlemen? Who wants to go first? Because I'm going to go last.
All right. So I grabbed your stash of Jim Beam Winter Reserve. So this is low proof, 86 proof, but 6-year-old. And it says notes of vanilla and cinnamon. I agree.
Yes.
I actually taste them. I like it.
It is. It's a very inexpensive bottle. It's mid-20s, I think. And it's for having a cinnamon flavor. It's actually pretty smooth.
Yeah. It's not a hot cinnamon. It's just that nice warm cinnamon. And,
yes.
Hey, at a mid-20s, this is good stuff. Pick it up.
Yeah, absolutely. I am very fond of that. Yes.
I like that. The vanilla and cinnamon is exactly right.
And that's a good mix too. It's very complementary flavors. Francis.
Oh, I'm sitting here reading the back of the bottle. This is the Yellowstone Select. It's the regular 93 proof, the white label Yellowstone. As you guys know, and you always criticize me for talking with the master distiller here because he's a relative. When we go to Bourbon Fest, because I take 10 minutes and talk about family connections with him.
That's Stephen, right?
Yes, Stephen Beam. That's right. Named after my great grandfather, same as I am. So it's. And I'm just reading the back of it here, and this is actually a relatively recent brand.
It is
a relatively recent endeavor with an older brand.
Yes.
Because the Yellowstone, they bought that, and they founded themselves in 2010, and in 2015 they took up this Yellowstone brand, And it's in Lebanon, Kentucky, Limestone Distillery. I was out there yesterday, as a matter of fact. I drove past this place. I didn't have time to stop. I wished I had, because I would enjoy that. On the tongue, as they say here, it's spicy rye with soft cherries fading to a smoked caramel. I totally, absolutely agree with all that. It's a memorable finish rich with brown sugar and Kentucky tradition. At 93 proof, and we all know this, we've talked about this many times, this is an absolutely reliable all day long brand.
Love Yellowstone.
Love Yellowstone. Ironically, and I think I've mentioned this, and I think this has probably waned since the TV series is no longer on, but when the series was at its height of popularity, people thought this brand actually was associated with. I talked to some folks at Total Wine, and they said, we can't keep it on the shelf because they think it's all about the TV series. And isn't that ironic? But it is absolutely fantastic. I haven't had it in a while. I don't have the white.
It's been a while since I've actually had it.
I don't have the white label at home. I got the black label at the moment because they have several iterations.
That's the higher proof version of it.
It is. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, the white label runs about $37, $38.
Absolutely.
Yes. For that price point, buy it.
It is the day in, day out, every day, great product. That's worth
the
your
same level of bourbon, both I think taste and price, as a Basil Hayden.
Absolutely, I would.
I think it's a good equivalent.
I would make it very, very of the standard Basil Hayden.
Yes, the basic one.
That's right, the basic. It's very similar to that. And hey, they've worked with the brand. They've made extensions of it with different iterations of it. I do like that.
Yes,
it's one of those dependable brands. When you see that Yellowstone name, you know that you're going to get some really good stuff from that. So, hey, I'm glad to have. Because Robert has an amazing stash here. I think we've all.
It's nothing like Cajuns.
I understand that.
Well, and I think you've had more than me for the most part.
We've grown. All of us have grown in the last 3 years to try and have more and more variety. But this is one you can't beat it. I need to buy another one. I've got the black label. I don't have the white. I'm going to get it again because it's worth it. Keep on.
Yeah, it really. I do like a large variety, partially because I look forward to those bottles.
Like Basil Hayden or Old Forester, this is one that I would offer to a guest that doesn't always know what they want. I'm saying you can't go wrong with Yellowstone. I would go with that.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes, I think that's very true. I am drinking. So since we are doing OG Snakes and Otters, I thought I'd go OG with the bourbon.
Sounds like a plan.
Although it's not technically OG. So I have a 1792, which is.
I was going to say, I recognize the bottle. I'm seeing it from the back side here.
It's an old favorite of the three of us.
There's only one type of bottle like that.
Yes.
That's definitely.
But this is the full proof 1792. It's not the single barrel that you would normally find.
Yeah.
They've really expanded their offering in 1792.
Yeah, that's a Barton brand.
It's a Barton brand, yes. Yeah. And this is, again, it's a little hot. It's not super peppery, spicy hot.
What's the proof on it? It says full proof.
I don't know. I can't tell from here. Let me see if
I didn't mean to.
Let's see.
Moving.
No, that's all right. Bottled at its original 125 barrel entry proof, just as it was years ago.
That's some that stands up barks.
Yes, it's not the highest proof we've ever had, but you get anything above 120, you're talking some serious.
It is. Yeah.
I don't know the mash bill on this. It's not a wheated bourbon.
No, it's pretty standard stuff.
So you can tell that it's got that spiciness, and because it's full proof, I think you get a little bit of that smoky flavor.
Well, I think
which
it's probably
gives it the bite.
But we're all drinking it bloomed with the ice.
Yes.
I can imagine that would probably not be so cool as neat.
Right. I don't think it is. I think
I'm speaking, of course, for our palates and the way we consume bourbon. If that's what your thing is, knock yourself out. We don't want to off on that.
I don't know if you noticed because I think you did, but when I took my first sip right after we sat down, it had not bloomed hardly at all yet. I did one of these kind of faces.
I did notice that. That's right,
because it was so hot.
Well, yeah, because that's a high proof. That's a big deal.
Normally, I don't do that, but yeah, this is just one because of this.
This Yellowstone is 93 proof. It's completely different.
Right. Well, yeah. You're talking.
You bloom it, and shoot, man, you could drink this stuff like Kool-Aid.
Well, you're talking 32 points of proof, so to speak. So 16% more alcohol content in the 1792.
Isn't that an amazing thing that you've just got that option out there?
Yes.
And one of the things that we've learned, I think, as part of the bourbon breaks that we've done now for quite a few years is the proof really makes a difference.
It does.
You should know what you're picking when you pick one, because you can easily work with either one, but either one requires a specific response.
Yeah, you know, high proof, yes, it is okay to drop more ice into your glass.
Absolutely. I like it that way.
But I would
Won't
never do a
drink it
whole lot
otherwise.
of ice in a Yellowstone at 93.
Yeah.
Certainly not a Winter Reserve at. See, I'm surprised you had as much ice as you did, because you went with an 86 proof.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is low, which is very low on the proof side.
But it has a very distinctive flavor, so it probably doesn't lose its flavor as quickly as some others.
No, it's
Because,
good.
like, when we had the Blantons at Cajuns that one time, letting the ice melt in that and letting it bloom, it didn't bloom, it disappeared. So that was very disappointing. I was very disappointed with the Blantons. Is one of the few I would prefer to have neat, just so that it doesn't. Or
Interesting.
take extremely cold water and put some in to get it to bloom that way.
That's very interesting.
It just disappeared. I didn't care for it after.
We'll have
the
to
ice
try
had
that
melted
again.
down.
I've got a bottle at home. Next time we're
do you?
yeah, I do. I went out to
You went to the distillery.
distillery. That's the only way.
That's the best way to
That's
find
the only
it,
way
yeah,
you can
yeah.
get it. But I do have some. I mean, now that we've known that, especially thank you, John Wick, we see it everywhere. Daggone it! It is, when it comes to Hollywood, it's the only bourbon that you ever see.
It's
And
because of the bottle.
it's the damn bottle. That's
Yes.
exactly right.
Well, it's like how makers, the red wax was marketing genius.
Absolutely, and it
Yeah.
it's put them where they are.
Yeah.
Again, it's going.
And
to
they're
be,
not a bad bourbon.
Not at all.
I think the base bottle is nothing. It's bourbon, so it's decent. But it's not worth the hype. I'm not saying it's not worth drinking. I'm saying the hype has made it seem.
It is what you expect, hopefully, and it makes it. I like
Now,
it mixed.
the
for a
other
mixer.
expressions,
Yeah.
the 46, the
Devil's
full
Cut.
proof. No, of the
the makers. I'm sorry.
makers. The other expressions,
Jim Beam, yeah.
the 46, the full proof that they have of that.
Cask, yeah.
Those are the cask strength. Those are much better. I think those are very good bourbons. So, anyways, this one, this is probably not my favorite full proof because it's not quite as smooth as some of the others, but it gives a different mouthfeel because you get a little bit of that spiciness. The smokiness definitely comes through, but not too bad. So it's a high proof and rye combination that doesn't overpower your taste buds, which I like.
Really? So it's got high rye in it.
Well, I'm assuming it's got at least a decent amount of rye just because it's not a wheated bourbon. It could still be a low rye, but generally you're going to see, I'd say on average, wouldn't you say, Martin, on average, on a non-wheated bourbon, you see about 20% rye?
If the mash bill's published.
Yeah, well, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, a lot of stuff is like, kind of a 70, 20, 10, the 70 corn.
Yeah, with the 10 being the malted barley.
Yeah.
Or just plain barley, but usually malted.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I would guess it's probably something similar to that. Or, it's probably, if it's higher corn, it's probably lower malted barley.
It's
is what
got
I
a
would guess.
dark, consistent, and
Yes, it is a very rich color.
It is, and you've drank the hell out of that. I don't know.
Well, I've had it for a long
I
time.
was going to say, I'm questioning, just exactly when you've used that, because most of it is gone in the bottle we're looking at here. So you've
Yes.
obviously had some experience with working with it.
Yes, I just haven't had it in a while because, it's a bad thing about having such a large bourbon collection. And, for some people,
Yeah.
it's not large,
Yeah.
but to me, it's large because for so many years I never had more than 2 bottles at a time.
And when you got what's your number now? 60?
No, it's just under 50.
Okay, that's right. It's
so-
about,
so it's
I think
probably
mine is 60. And
46, maybe
Oh, wow.
47.
what do you- yeah, I think it's 60. That's right.
I'm at
Right.
like
Wow.
17 or 18.
Dude, spend some money. I know you've got it.
He did. I mean, he bought a little book.
He did. That's correct. I mean, I'm not criticizing that.
And I
I mean-
paid full dollar for the
Yeah,
little.
yes, you
That's a
did.
$200 bottle of shit.
And I'm telling you for a fact, I am so proud of you. I really
Oh,
am. We both
absolutely,
are.
yes,
That's right.
yes.
Because that's
Yeah, and they dropped the price $60 after I bought it. I was kind of pissed off. I was
And,
like,
hey,
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I
yeah.
totally get you on that one. That's right.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
bring it back and return it.
Yeah,
I know. Well, they won't take it back though.
No,
No,
you're not.
I
You're not
know.
gonna. You're just kind of stuck.
Well,
with
and the
that.
same two guys work in the Kroger liquor store every Saturday
So, yeah,
in
yeah,
Mount
yeah.
Washington. So it's like they know I bought it.
But yeah,
But
I
the selection
so
there is
want-
really good.
Oh, I like it. I like it very well. I mean,
I've not gotten out there yet. 'Cause it's just a little far for me.
Well, we've got the. Have you?
It's worth a trip. The new Kroger
At Beulah Church.
at Beulah Church Road has a huge place, but it seemed like it was a lot more off stuff.
Off
Like-
as in
Like kind of like, well, I've never heard of that one. I've never heard of that one. I've never heard of that.
Well,
one.
isn't that a good thing?
well, maybe.
Could be.
No, because I mean, it's like
I mean, you want to me. I want to mix.
it just didn't have a ton of high end. It had like a lot of low end.
Oh,
That
when
I'd
you
never
say off
heard of.
stuff, it's low end off stuff. Okay.
Yeah, and
That's
but the one
okay.
in Mount Washington, while they don't have a ton of things, it seemed like they've got a decent selection of the really high end, sort of sought after stuff.
Right. They've had the little book and the chapter 9. The little book they've had for $130.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
if I hadn't just bought that
they
antique
had
107,
they had a bottle of the Infinity one too for like 160.
damn.
That's a little.
The Infinity stuff.
I don't
and
mind
then-
dropping $100 for a good bourbon, but much more than that, I'll go 120, 115. I paid 115 for the 1924. I don't know that I'd pay more than that.
Oh, whoa. Can you guys hear me? Because
I cannot hear you. I hear you just in the room.
I
So
think you must have come unplugged.
Can you guys hear me now?
yes,
Yeah,
you
I got
could.
you.
Yeah, So
Okay.
we went very MTV 1988
yes,
there for a
uh,
second.
you went on-
Unplugged.
Tap, 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 tap. Is this thing on?
You are great.
You
sir.
were like Kurt Cobain unplugged over there in 1992 on MTV.
I kind of prefer Matt
the,
Natalie Merchant with 10,000 Maniacs.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
That was quite
uh,
a show, yeah.
I like, there's only a few bottles that I'm willing to pay a lot of money for.
Mhm.
Booker's is one of them.
Yeah.
That's why I was willing to pay the $130 for the little book.
Yeah.
If I hadn't gone to Chex, which is the little restaurant that's kitty corner to, or as they say down here, catty corner,
That's correct.
to.
Well, you mean there's something different than that?
yeah. Other places call it kitty corner. To one of my parishes. So I go there for dinner and or lunch, depending on.
Still a great
situation.
place.
Oh, it
A
is.
little
It's an
great
excellent
joint.
place,
Yeah,
yeah.
Germantown.
And they've got a great selection of bourbons, and some of them they will sell by the bottle. They have a packaged liquor license.
I know. I wish the hell I'd have known that when I saw that 1924
I know.
there that first time, because I probably would have
know.
paid it. Ended up passing, and they ended up selling out of it because they had like 8 or 9 bottles.
Yes, they had
And
quite a few.
it was the
yeah.
second version of it I had to buy.
So we were there a couple of weeks ago. Me and Mrs. Martin and
Mrs. Robert, you mean?
or Mrs. Robert. Yeah, sorry, I don't know why I said Mrs. Martin. Yes,
Oops.
I had
Up
stepped,
there with
I-
Mrs.
Yes,
Martin.
Mrs. Martin and I had stepped out. No.
Wow.
So Mrs. Robert and I were over there.
Boy, that
and,
could step into a can of
that's right.
wet cow pie very
yes,
quickly. I'm
yes.
sorry, I'm diddling your wife here.
know.
No.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, I cuckolded Martin accidentally.
fortunately, I know.
Actually, there wouldn't be
Mrs.
much
Martin-
accidental about that. If you're
Yeah.
doing it,
Yeah.
you're doing it.
I mean,
Damn well know.
accidentally fell into her vagina. No, you didn't.
Yes, 50 times. Back and forth.
You
back
fell
and
on a knife 3 times.
It was dark. It was light. It was dark. It was light.
forth. That's right.
Then I threw up.
Uh,
And then it threw up. Yeah.
yeah. But anyways, they had the antique 107, and so I was just I just happened to comment and I said, "Ooh, you've got a bunch of nice Wellers up there." And she's like, "Oh, so the green, the special reserve is 45, which for in town, not a bad price.
Yeah, you
It's
can get that at-
30 at the
Yeah.
At the distillery,
At the
when-
distillery.
if you go on the right day. That's
yeah, but
right.
you can almost always find that because they almost
doesn't-
always pair that.
doesn't
with
take
something
long.
else,
You know,
yeah.
if you just pay attention to the website, you'll
Yes, it's very easy to get the Weller Special Reserve. But then she said the antique 107 was 130. I've seen that for as much as $200 retail.
know. See,
Yeah.
antique. I was going to ask you about that because you've seen that. Is that still around up there? Do you think?
Might be. I have not been
Well,
back.
I
since
understand
got it a
because
couple of weeks ago.
antique was. I think I guess I've
That's
told
the one we had at Cajun's after his mom's, no, or did we have the Booker's after his
It was
mom's?
Booker's.
So when did
because-
we have the antique?
I don't know that we have because
No, we did. I know we had the antique one over there.
I'm trying to figure out which one of us had it because antique was the bottle. It was actually pretty cheap in the day.
Yes.
In the 70s and 70s, I guess
Yeah.
you'd say, that my father kept in the cabinet, up in the kitchen. You all remember my mom's house? It was
Yes.
right up in near the sink. That's where the liquor was kept. And remember my grandfather, my mom's dad, coming in every time he'd come in. He'd go right to that cabinet. Go to the cabinet next to it, pull out the shot glass, and pour himself some antique. The one with the train on the front thing of it. I haven't seen.
Yeah, I don't. Now it's just a red label. I don't.
See,
know
I
if it's
haven't
got
seen
anything
an
on it.
antique brand in 50 years.
Well, there used to be more than just Weller Antique 107.
See,
Right.
and that's where I'm.
See, and yeah, this is
Four
different.
Roses used to have an antique.
And that's probably the one that my dad used because he worked for Seagram's. He's buying a Seagram's brand.
Right. So yeah, this is probably a different antique.
Again, but isn't that funny that, that how that?
I mean, yeah, that would have been a marketing term that I'm sure.
Yeah, because Weller's I think is a relatively newer than the I think it's like a late 80s.
My
early
guess
90s.
is they bought the dang brand from Seagram's.
I mean, back in the 90s.
Well, it's still a Weller brand.
You could
it's
get
just the
Weller
particular expression is Antique 107.
Yeah, Weller Antique 107. I mean, that was back when Weller was completely local. The Weller Steitzel distillery, it was $35. I mean, it was
right.
It was a Basil Hayden comparison.
Right. Well, Special Reserve,
and that's the stuff my father would have bought. Because
and the Special Reserve was a $20 bottle.
He ain't paying much. He's paying $20. He's getting the cheapies. That's what it wasn't.
So.
As Cajun would say, his dad bought Ancient Age.
Right.
My dad was antique at that time. Was that type of a thing? It was that level of
toilet with Ancient Age.
Well, it's not quite that bad. I have to tell you, Martin. Sorry, I'm going to go on a slight little rabbit hole, but we do that
every once in a while.
You asked me. I think in my second book that's getting ready to come out next year, you asked me to put in a line talking about Ancient Age being drain cleaner.
Well, I suggested it.
You suggested. I did add it in, but I took it out.
That's okay.
I couldn't. I couldn't.
Okay. I didn't require it. I just suggested.
I couldn't quite go there because I got to be thinking of this. Nobody's going to get that. And what am I going to do?
That's okay.
What am I going to do if the Ancient Age guys read this and come to me and say, "Sorry, we're going to sue your ass"? So I got to.
They can't sue you over that.
They wouldn't. But I said,
I mean, that's about as likely as the Fern Creek Mafia coming after Martin for his book.
That's right, and that's kind of the way I look at it. But I came to but just reading it, it was obviously stuck out like a sore thumb.
It didn't work.
It didn't work. That's right.
See, that's the thing. Yeah.
See, it just didn't work. It needed to be cut.
Ancient Age is not great bourbon.
No, it's not. We've established this by scientific inquiry because we've done this.
I mean, is it Trader Joe level of bourbon, or is it?
I thought it was.
That is our benchmark at the moment. But
original Trader Joe.
Let's make sure
original
we get it right.
Trader Joe.
The original Trader Joe.
Because the current one is okay.
Yeah, because I think Barton's makes the current one. They may have made the first.
No, I think Barton's made the first one.
Yeah.
Flatboat makes we presume it's Flatboat makes the 125 full proof because it's the same bottle.
That's right. Which I can't remember who makes that.
I don't know.
Gosh, I wish Cajun was here. He would remember that right off the bat.
But anyways, the whole point of all that was there are very few bottles that I am willing to pay more than $100 for, and even the Booker's I don't pay $100 for because I can find that usually for $90 at Kroger's.
That's about right. And Booker's is
it's
one of those. It's one of those three. In many respects, they're the progenitors of the line extension that started in the early 90s. It was Knob Creek, it was Booker's, and it's Basil Hayden. That Beam came out with those things, and people are saying, "What are you doing? Why aren't you just making Beam?"
Right.
And now all of a sudden, it's changed the world because now anybody can compete. They actually probably did themselves a disservice in many ways because you all of a sudden you get these specialized brands, and now everybody's going to do that. And of course, everybody's a specialized brand. Those small houses, Old Steel House,
you got to have more than one brand.
Dueling Grounds. Dueling Grounds is a great one. I think. Did you guys buy that by any chance?
We didn't buy it, wish I had. We tried it.
Yeah, we did try it. I liked it. I want to go ahead and make sure I promote that.
Here I'm begging Nemo to jump in my lap, and it has to jump with Francis.
I didn't do a damn thing. I just kind of was, and it's just kind of a thing with me. Guys. I don't think anything is real about this. Anything is different. You guys know where this works.
So anyway, if that finishes bourbon,
yes, that finishes. So let's go back to the quote.
Two quick things before you read your quote.
Okay,
very quick.
Okay,
what do you read?
I love Francis's Superman hoodie.
Oh, thank you for that. It's the current.
It's the modern Superman.
It's the modern Superman. It's the one David Cornsweet from the Superman movie this summer. I went ahead and bought it. I bought this thing long before the movie came out. When it came out.
Well, so that design showed up in the comics first.
Yeah, but it really became popular with the movie.
That's cool. And then just to close the loop on Herbert Hoover, yes, he ran assistance agencies after World War I. After World War II, at the behest of the Truman administration, he toured post-war Germany. And this is not probably super widely known, but there was a substantial movement within the U.S. government to limit post-war Germany to being a pastoral state. Like the pre-Marshall Plan, the idea was they're going to farm and that's it. And
so no industry.
Right. So Hoover said, well, if you're going to do that, you're going to have to get rid of 25 million more people. Or you're going to have to let them industrialize. So basically,
otherwise you're doing it yourself. And
well, you can't employ 25 million people in farms.
Yeah, I mean, basically it was there's 25 million too many people in Germany to do that. You're going to have to get rid of them all, and get rid of them.
And that's not possible.
And so
right,
Hoover,
and we just fought a war because they did that.
Right. So Hoover's his perceptions, his report ended up tilting the Truman administration more towards, okay, we're going to allow reindustrialization of Germany.
Right, and in the end, that worked out for the good.
I bow.
Hoover rescued Western Europe.
Isn't that something? And that's not well known. And we bow to Martin for knowing this crap because we shouldn't know this stuff, but we do. But, Herbert Hoover gets such a bad rap, and I think, and not to say that what happened when he got judged for that wasn't deserved, but he's not that. He's more than the sum of that.
Right. He did not cause the Great Depression. That's the thing. That's because that's what he gets. I think the worst rap.
It is, and he was gobsmacked but who wouldn't be?
Exactly.
And by the time Roosevelt comes in, they've had 4 years to figure this shit out, or 2 years.
Well, and you can make the argument that maybe Roosevelt's approach was right. Maybe it was overkill on the government overreach. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean the New Deal really didn't work.
No,
it wasn't until
production
went back up.
It kept the people calm and made them feel better.
Well, and
that's all that
and
really
it put money in people's pockets who didn't. I mean, you're talking about 25% unemployment.
Yeah, that's
outrageous.
Yeah,
that is a prescription for the overthrow of government.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, you're right about that. And I know that's what they feared.
And that's the prescription for a communist revolution. All it takes is 1 in 4 of your neighbors not being able to feed their family.
That's right. And in this time period, when you've had the communist revolution in Russia, just barely, 12, 14 years earlier, hell yes, we were scared of that stuff.
Absolutely.
And
so speaking of which, so I want to go, because that goes back into some of that nationalism versus patriotism.
So give us that quote again.
And I should like to be able to love my country and still love justice. I don't want any greatness for it, particularly a greatness born of blood and falsehood. I want to keep it alive by keeping justice alive.
I did research this quote while we were doing the bourbon break. That was from 1960.
Really?
It was late for him. So
I thought the book was published earlier.
I mean, he was dead by 56.
That's when all that stuff was collected and put together.
Well, but when was the essay written is the question.
Well, that's when it was published. Was when in 1960 is what it said.
All right. Well, anyways, I mean, obviously,
when did he actually write that quote? We don't really know.
Well, I'm sure somebody knows, but we don't.
Right.
So,
but I think the idea that it was a post-war.
I think that's probably.
I think that is very fair.
I mean, I think either approach is, whether it's response to Hitler or response to Stalin, either one could work.
Yeah.
But since we know him mostly from a late 40s onward,
I love the way you framed that. It's either Hitler or Stalin. I think you're exactly right. I think that's what that's exactly.
Well, because I mean, both of those.
Boil it down. That's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. This is a.
They were built on blood.
And that's exactly what he's referring to here.
Exactly.
Whether that be the communist revolution of the 50s or
the teens.
Yeah, a notion that a country's 20s. Greatness is built on conquest is what he's rejecting.
Yes.
In favor of a notion
both
that
World War II and
a country
communism.
Is great based on its perception of justice.
I think
it's a very Christian point of view, really, for a non-Christian.
It could be a rail against both Nazism as well as Stalinism.
Yes. Well, and in modern times, you could use that to rail against full-blown outright capitalism, or is what I would really call, not so much, because I think we are past the stage of capitalism and we are into an oligarchy.
Unfettered capitalism?
Well, there is no such thing as unfettered capitalism unless it's a black market. My pastor loves to rail against the excesses of capitalism.
He's the expert on this, certainly in many ways.
But I think he's a little blinded by certain
too.
things. Because on the one hand, what he critiques is valid, is the rampant runaway pursuit of wealth is harmful to a just society.
Interesting,
right?
But he views that we are in a capitalist system, and I think we are an oligarchy.
We're a corporatist system, which is best.
Corporatist. Yes,
is that?
But his response to that was, well, that is the natural result of capitalism, because
only when government fucks with it.
Well, no, because he's right, because when you think about it this way, so capitalism, laissez-faire capitalism is what he rails against, but that truly is only ever a black market.
Yeah.
Because very quickly, those with money, even in the black market, those with money become political influencers. Once that happens, they start getting laws passed to their advantage, and we are no longer in laissez-faire capitalism.
Yeah, I mean that once buying and selling is controlled by legislators, the first thing to be bought and sold will be the legislature.
Absolutely. So
wait a minute, is that Martin?
PJ?
Okay, I know you're brilliant,
and I'm sure PJ got it from somewhere else.
I was going to say, but
that's a PJ.
That smacks to me of a quotation.
Once
and I was
buying
willing
and
to give
selling
it to you.
are controlled by legislators, the first thing to be bought and sold will be the legislature.
Exactly.
There's brilliance. That's what we're talking about here.
So that whole idea that capitalism produces a corporatist economy. It is the natural result of capitalism unfettered. Whereas, to me, and again, this is the problem with this.
When you put the restraints on capitalism, though, it tends to prop up the existing structure. If you leave it alone, a lot of times capitalism, the market, determines that, you're pretty powerful, but guess what? We've moved on to something else. And you collapse.
That's the invisible hand you're talking about here.
But see now, and this is where I think his criticism is correct, because this is what I respond to when I say that, because when most Americans think of a capitalist economy, what they really mean is a market economy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially when we grew up, we would have thought of this as local businesses. Because remember, during the Reagan years, the driver of growth was small business. Not big business.
The concept of entrepreneurism became quite a buzzword during the Reagan years.
Yes. And
because we had never heard before.
The norm throughout history has always been small, and partially that's because of infrastructure, has been small business. And that's where we saw most of the growth in the 80s, was in small businesses. But small businesses cannot create what I hold in my hand, which is my iPhone, because it takes too large of an entity, too much concentrated wealth.
Too much
you
capital.
Need capitalization.
There's the word.
Do that.
There's the word. So to truly be the kind of market economy he would like is a very different world. We don't have we don't have the technology. We don't have computers.
It's a fantasy land.
It is, but that doesn't mean you should not promote the ideal.
I have a question.
Which is small business ownership. More, because as Chesterton said, the problem with capitalism is not that there are too many capitalists, is that there are too few.
Yes, but the market tends to drive towards consolidation anyway.
Well, but that's part of the problem.
In the Austrian school, the consumer picks a winner.
Right.
And then the losers get bought out.
Yeah, well, the problem with that is that after a certain point, and again, I'm not, because I am more for the let's keep government out of things, let things work a little more naturally. However, I think he is correct in the sense that after you get to a certain point, the winners tend to be by default those who have concentrated the wealth, and that it's very difficult to dethrone. Who's going to dethrone Microsoft and Apple?
I'm glad you mentioned that because
we have to have perspective. Microsoft and Apple dethroned IBM, and digital and
no. I'm going to land with Robert on this. I think what we're talking about here is a consumerism model.
Well, there is that,
I think in 2025, after 25 years of a consumer and the consumers have asked for this because they're voting with their money on this. They want immediate, instant gratification at all times,
which almost requires a large business to do.
That's correct, and that's why. And I'm using Amazon as my model. They're not.
That's a great example.
They're not the only one, but they are, in many respects, they're the oligarchy of oligarchies, shall we say? And that's kind of where I'm landing with this. Is I do believe that we have entered a position, and I think post behind Generation X. The next 2 generations after us will not tolerate anything less than immediate satisfaction, and I think that is a unique. That is the
certainly. I think that plays a role.
To go Isaac Asimov, that is the mule in the psychohistory.
The monkey in the works.
That's right. That's
the mule. Yes,
we couldn't have predicted this crap. But once we get there, it's absolutely obvious.
You can't predict it because it was what caused it.
That's right.
Need for immediate satisfaction was unheard of.
That's right. We had no idea we could ever provide it. But once you could, it dominates everything from that point. And I think that's where we're at this point.
All government intervention. Hang on a second. It's like all government intervention. The boy and I were talking last night at dinner. I took him to Rubby's for dinner because I hadn't seen him in a couple of weeks. And nice dinner, nice conversation. And we were talking about, apparently finances at Bellarmine are a big concern amongst the student body for a lot of different reasons. Finances of the school, not their own.
Yes.
Although I'm sure their own is a big thing too.
Yeah.
But, we were talking about the cost of schooling. Now, obviously, we don't have to worry about that with him because he got the full ride. No. Yay him, yay us.
But
as I said to him, was, the reason it's so expensive, at least part of it's going to be technology, because that you have to provide the technology that takes money. But before the Department of Education, because that's how it started, was talking about.
I'm with you here. I mean, before government goofed in it, education was not expensive.
Right, but now the government getting involved with it just happened to coincide with the rise of technology in education.
You couldn't,
and I'm not saying that they are linked. I'm saying they're parallel.
Those.
There are many.
Could not synchronize those.
There's no way you could predict. Secondary education in particular.
Yes, primarily.
The explosion of non-instructional staff at the university level.
Yes.
I mean, how many more people are on staff at Bellarmine now than were when we were there?
I have friends who are part of that. That's right.
I would bet there's at least another 100 positions on that campus.
Right, which doesn't sound like a lot because it's a small school, though.
Yeah.
What about U of L?
Yeah, there has to be.
Or U of K. Or
200 or 300 people in all of these different avenues. Is like, hey, focus on teaching kids something. That's what you need to do.
It's become its own employment industry.
Yeah,
in many ways,
but it's non-industrial.
So
how do you do that?
The technology adds to it.
How do you continue to add value with all that labor?
Government subsidy, and we know this. We know this throughout history. When you subsidize something, the cost of it goes up. It just does.
That's kind of the point. You look at farm subsidies. Farm subsidies. The point of those is to keep the prices
to inflate them high. Yeah. So when the government subsidizes education, of course the cost is going to go up. That's the point.
It's not just one. It's not just that.
This is where this is where I'm saying, let's let capitalism do its job. It'll
weed it out.
It'll weed out the losers itself without the government screwing with it.
But that's the problem. That means somebody has to lose, and that means jobs lost, and that's
but somebody will always lose.
Yeah,
correct.
Should the market pick the losers, or should the government pick the losers?
Well,
I'll take the market.
I agree with you completely, but the problem is I don't think that the current society that we're in wants any losers.
Well, that's fantasy land because they get participation trophies, and they,
and that's
everybody's birthday is special at McDonald's, and that's just not real.
It isn't real, but it is the reality.
It's the reality of expectations. But I think
thank you. There's the language that I'm looking for.
That's it. Yeah.
The reality of expectations. Robert, that's brilliant.
Reality of expectations.
Reality of expectations. That is absolute.
Word boner.
Yeah, let's
I
give
think, yeah, I
him
think that phrase,
because that's what we're talking about here. It's what we're talking about here. Because again, it's smoke and mirrors.
Yeah.
But we have decided, and I think this goes back to our love of democracy, quote unquote, air quotes, that everybody has a voice, even to use a Martinism, even the stupid have a voice. Just because you have a voice in something doesn't mean it's worth a damn.
Yeah, I mean,
But we've enshrined
you're welcome to your opinion, but the great thing of living in a free society is I don't have to give a damn.
Well, the problem is, though, all you need is enough support behind that stupid idea, and it can be made into reality.
Yeah.
And I think that's we go back to
that's where we are in a lot of things.
That's where, and then I think that's where I think
So
that's where the
there's
explanation.
one more piece of this quote though that I want to hit you guys on, and that's the justice. What is justice?
Oh, I'm glad you went there because
see,
what's
there's
the
the
difference?
Oh,
Justice. That's to
what
me,
is
that's
justice?
the real issue, because I mean it's easy to agree that yes, I would like my country to be great, not because of who it conquered, but because of who it saved. I would like my country to be great because of the goodness of its people, the justice of
period. We don't
not because they won a war.
right, and I think you've got
what is
really?
and I think
what
that's a great question for one reason only, and that is because nowadays we can't define justice.
Yeah.
Just as we cannot define. I mean,
we can't define greatness.
well, we can't. And I was going to say we can't define what a woman is. That's the cliche.
Yeah. I mean, you can't define
but
what a woman is, but
we all and
I
because
think we know what justice is.
well,
Do we?
but we don't. Because there's social justice, there's economic justice, there's resource. I mean, there's every social issue now is a form of justice, and many of them are mutually exclusive. But I go back to, and I think this is the classical thing, even if they wouldn't have put it this way, it goes back to that inherent dignity of the human person thing. It's what you were talking about in a less wordy way, is how we treat others.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think it goes back to the sermon. The parable of the goats and the sheep. All right, what you do to the least of these, you do to me. In other words, how you take care of the worst off, the hungry, the sick, the thirsty, the naked, the the homeless,
And
those who are in prison.
doing it personally and not just saying, "Oh, well, the government's got an agency for that."
And well, there's nothing wrong with the government having an agency for that.
It's not meant to be the end all.
But that's only true presuming you have not abrogated your responsibilities to that agency.
Which, unfortunately,
Which is where we are
Well,
at.
human
but,
tendency
I mean,
being what it is.
The problem with government having an agency to do that is government always takes a cut.
Well, yes, government.
You know what I
takes
mean?
It must
Like-
sustain itself.
Like
Yes.
if the church were doing something charitable, you'd get much more bang for the buck than if you relied on a government agency to do that same thing.
Well, there's a reason that the church has been very, very, the only one in many respects to do hospital work. How many of
Right, that's where hospitals started. Was
that's where
the church.
That's right. There wouldn't
It's like
be
universities.
That's right. Universities and hospitals wouldn't even exist if it were not for the church, because the government wouldn't bother. It's only because the church set the standard and realized, yeah, we really need this stuff, that all of a sudden the government has said, well, yeah, maybe we
Well,
do.
when you talk
Let's
about-
control
Well,
that.
But when people decided that there was something wrong with the church doing things, and there was something wrong with the
there's
church
some of
being
that,
involved in society,
because they distrust
they
large
just-
organizations
they
that have
just
control.
well, they don't distrust large. They just shifted their faith.
Well, they distrust the church because either because they have a legitimate beef, granted, that happens, or because they just they're atheists who think that every believer is out to burn them at the stake.
Yeah,
which is very illogical.
Yeah,
Well,
the church wants to
secularist.
control them.
Secularist, I think, might be a
yeah,
better term.
secularist. Yeah,
You're not wrong,
they
but it's
transferred
bigger than
their
that.
faith from the church to government. I mean, they're
Yeah.
And that goes back, I
That's-
think,
that's
to
a-
a founding fathers. Thou shalt not establish a church in the state. It's a separation of that.
It is, but so to go back to this economics thing again, what is justice?
yeah.
And whether or not government has a role in justice is probably more what you're asking.
Well, I mean, is not government?
Because again, we started talking about the quote is about country, but we started talking about government.
Yeah.
Well, and
is not the government the ultimate arbiter of justice? as it's
legal justice,
correct.
not moral justice.
That's where I'm going.
Yeah.
Is exactly
Yeah.
that sort of thing. That as the expression of justice for almost all the people that live in any given country, is that not the purview of exclusively the government?
Because again, there's a difference between legal justice and moral justice.
And that's what I want to go with, yes.
Because if you look at in a perfect world, a Venn diagram of legal and moral justice is a perfect circle.
It should be.
It should be in a perfect world, but it is not. It is an overlapping circle, and depending on the morality of the people currently, it's either larger or smaller overlap.
Isn't that interesting?
And of course, for you guys, mercy then has to play a role. Justice must be tempered with mercy.
And that
absolutely.
But that is ultimately the expression of justice after the fact.
I mean, Camus is almost certainly speaking of a moral justice.
Absolutely.
But that is very difficult because, again, your moral justice, my moral justice might be different.
Well, here's an example.
And who's all, nobody likes to make value judgments anymore, but you kind of have to.
You do, because all laws are an expression of a culture's values. Every single one.
And here's a good example that I think that illustrates that very, very well. I know you guys probably do not watch the British TV series called Shetland. It is worth your time if you can find it. It's on BritBox, but it's other places too. Her Majesty and I have become very good fans. It's in its 10th season. They even actually switched.
So, but for Brits, 10 seasons is still only like 6 episodes a season. So
that
it's
is
like
correct.
Episodes.
That's right. Yeah, so you're right. But they're very, very good with laying that out. It takes place in Shetland, in the north of England, and they actually
all ride tiny horses
in the north of Scotland. Not England.
Of course, you're absolutely right.
Of
my
the
apologies.
UK. Of the UK.
My apologies, but you're
England.
exactly right on that. Douglas Henshaw was the star for like the first 7 series, and he moved on. And daggone it, the series continued. They brought in a new star. They do a really great job. I'm not going to go into that, but I do recommend it highly.
Is it a police style?
It is a police procedure, which I know is right up.
Yes,
right up your alley.
I think I've heard of this.
So it's Law and Order in Scotland.
You could say that. It's very, very good. And they do each season like.
I say there's not enough people in the Shetlands to have a lot of crime. So they must be the only.
But they sure do have some. If you watch this show.
Well, I started watching Longmire. Look at Longmire.
Yeah,
I mean, there's been more murders in Longmire in that one little county than there are in the entirety of Kentucky. I think
isn't it amazing? Hey, watch Justified, and you'll see that's not the case. But that's
yes, Justified is home movies for me.
Absolutely, I do see. All of these are great shows, but I've been recently watching. The 10th season is just starting to drop, and like I said, we've been watching this for years. And there was an episode that we've just started with this 10th season, and there's a murder, which is the norm,
of course,
and the prime suspect. And again,
have they killed the entire town yet?
There's a few towns in Shetland, but they're all small, and it's filmed there. Most of it is filmed there.
Nice.
It was real. I mean, it's an amazing.
Gorgeous,
Martin, would love it. It is a gorgeous thing, but it's very different. The houses are different. The towns are different. Everything is different. That's one of the reasons I think that it's so successful. 10 seasons.
Because we're getting long here. So to the point.
To the point is there is a murder, and there is a nearby young man who is he is a ex-convict who has recently been released from prison. So
immediate first suspect.
He's immediate first suspect, and they find the jewelry of the murdered woman in his possession. Okay,
which is usually enough to get you a conviction.
That's exactly my point. Is that this young man, and again, I've only watched one episode this 10th season, so we're moving along. But the entire piece of the concept of this young man is getting absolutely no effing justice because of these two factors. He has an explanation. It is a logical explanation. It is a reasonable explanation. But because of who he is, and because of what has happened, and because of these quote-unquote facts, and the fact that I didn't mention, that a young man, somebody with a hoodie was seen in the vicinity.
He wasn't a black gentleman, was he?
No, he was not. That would be
because you mentioned hoodie in this country. You're gonna it's black.
Damn straight. And see, therein lies the issue that I want to kind of talk about is there. The old saying is amongst the black community is there ain't no justice around here. It's just us.
Right.
And that's exactly what this young. He's white, but that's exactly what this kid is facing. He's almost convicted right from the very beginning because he has a history, because he was in the area, because he has a possession he probably shouldn't have, and he's similar enough to the supposed person. And I told Her Majesties we're watching, it says, in most circumstances, this kid is going to prison for effing life because a good prosecutor will take just that and absolutely send him away forever. He has gone there forever. And there ain't no effing justice with that because, as the story is written, you damn well know he's not guilty. But he is the first one out. There's the problem.
In drama.
Yeah, and I understand that. That's right.
Of course he's not guilty.
That's right.
In real life, there's no drama. Because he is guilty.
But how many cases? Oh, hold on.
Oh, yeah. No,
how many cases? Yeah. How many cases have you seen in the news where you find out that people have been exonerated years later because of DNA evidence that has proven it's like, this is not. This is some other guy.
When we're talking justice, and that's what we're talking. Justice
and I mean, you're right.
The system.
There's a real life example right here in town. Basically, is the David Cam case.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy that spent 12 years, I think it was, in jail. Before he was exonerated.
And see that, and therein lies the question of the entire question of going back to this Camus quote of justice is how quick we are to take just enough that is not enough.
Yeah, he had blood on him, so he did it.
See, we were so desperate. We're so desperate to find to blame. Ultimately, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
We're so desperate to find blame. We will absolutely railroad an innocent person that just happens by circumstances to be close enough. It goes back to that whole business. Close enough is good enough. Send them down, or what's worse is
execute them.
So that's correct. And there's my issue with justice. And
legal justice.
Legal justice. It is disproportionately race evaluated.
In this country, absolutely.
In this country, in this state, in this city.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we're going down a rabbit hole into that.
But I think
it's right.
I think this is important because
the death penalty is not a rabbit hole. I would go for it.
So, even a death penalty aside, any punishment of somebody who is innocent is unjust.
Should be
doesn't matter what
should be anathema in a civilized society.
Yes. So
damn, we so desperate to have a
hold on
word boner.
Yeah,
for the anathema.
Okay, so desperate to have somebody pay. We're willing to send an innocent person to justice just because close a damn case.
And I want to point out a couple and
I know that's where you're going.
You've given me a couple of things here. So the last thing you just said, we have to have somebody to pay.
Yeah,
justice is not retribution.
Vengeance. Abso-frankly, that's my premise.
That is part of the problem.
It must not be, but it damn well is.
With justice in this country going back to the Wild West. Because especially, I think that's where our sense of that...
That's where we can see it the clearest,
Yeah. And yes, the guilty must pay. Not someone. It's the guilty. The problem is determining guilt. And I'm not going to rail against those who put innocent people away, not because they. And granted, yes, a lot of times there's going to be a lot of racial animosity, but even you're talking about white on white, or black on black. You put somebody away because it's all of these things line up.
For a lawyer, a high conviction rate is a career move.
Right.
I mean, it's career.
Are we suggesting then, by that very statement, that consumerism is determining our sense of justice?
I don't know about in that sense.
Ego.
I don't think consumerism has anything to do with conviction rates.
We demand. Well, and that's consumerism is not the right word. We demand results. And all you got to do is produce.
I think that's always
with that.
Right. I think that's always been the case when it comes to crimes.
No?
Yeah. I think when it comes to crimes, and I'm talking about violent crimes. I'm not talking about
To make it, yeah.
One rich guy stole $1 billion from another rich guy. I'm not talking about that kind of theft or crime. I mean, that's crime. But honestly, not most people are not going to have a lot of sympathy for that kind of crime. But violent crime, which is where we mostly think about vengeance.
Totally sure. Okay. Absolutely.
That is where I think it is problematic, and that's where the vengeance part comes in, because it's a natural human instinct to want to dole out the eye for an eye.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you mentioned that, because that's kind of where this lands.
And that's yes, and a lot of the vengeance comes from that, from a religious,
right. Because it ain't justice unless we push the syringe button on this guy.
Well, usually it was
to take it to the extreme. Yeah.
Well, but the syringe, that's one of the reasons why I think if you're going to have the death penalty, it needs to be public executions in the town square. None of this hiding it away in a prison where you put somebody to sleep, like you're putting down your pet.
That's where we've landed. It shows the entire bankruptcy of the entire program. If you can't frickin' watch it, you shouldn't be frickin' doing it.
I think there's
and
basically.
I think there's a truth to that, because that shows that
maybe Martin will be showing up to every one of those hangings. I don't know.
We should have a collective civilization conscience realizing, no, we shouldn't be doing this, and that does not equal the scales, because you can't equal that damn scale of what was done.
Well, even if you can't, again, I agree. I'm no longer for the death penalty, but
I'm a big believer against, because I think. It doesn't deter,
no, it does, because those people will never ever.
Yeah, it might
do it again.
It might not deter anyone else, but at least it deters that jackass.
And we know
but life in prison would deter that just as effectively.
Sometimes they murder in there, but yes, that is true.
And I don't have to keep feeding them with my tax dollars.
Again, very Republicans, keep your hands off my money. I'm willing to pay for it to protect society.
Life in prison doesn't always mean life in prison anymore.
I understand.
I mean, a life sentence is basically 20 years.
Yeah.
And you're going to get out.
Yeah. Supposedly that's been changed in Kentucky, where life without the possibility of parole is that.
Well, that's different. Without the possibility of parole,
and that's kind of where it lands.
A lot.
They have to say without the possibility.
That's correct,
of parole.
and that's the intention of the law, based on the common understanding, is we're willing to do that. I hope in lieu of that fatal justice. I don't think it's fatal. Here's a guy that writes thrillers about people getting killed, and damn it, I'm railing against the death penalty.
Well,
but I truly believe it. I don't. But, I think it's leaning into the worst qualities of our society, and we should educate our society to the point where we realize it's very Count of Monte Cristo.
Education can't overcome this.
I want you to serve your sentence in this life before you go to hell.
So the reason education you cannot educate somebody out of supporting the death penalty, because
you're right.
The desire for the death penalty is an emotional response.
Absolutely, that's right. I'm glad you went there, because exactly it.
Because everybody who wants the death penalty, Martin included, I would presume, is that even though we think of Martin as his emotions are mad, sad, and glad.
I love that. That's very good.
My wife and I, we used to joke, you have 3 emotions. No, I have 4: mad, sad, glad, and horny.
Okay.
Because I'm a guy,
Yeah. I'll take that. Yes.
But the desire for vengeance, for punishment, is an emotional response.
That's right. Punishment is not. Yeah, paying one's debt to society is a fucking euphemism. Pardon me.
Oh wow, Francis F-bomb
for a euphemism for it is a simple.
I almost want a word boner that, because Francis doesn't do it that often.
I don't. I mean, though I was the first one to do it, but you're right. It is a euphemism for punishment, for vengeance, for execution. That's where this goes, and nothing is satisfying. And I get it. There's no way, if your child, if your family member were killed in a senseless act of violence. I mean, there was a guy that shares my real name, first name and last name. He's got a middle initial. I actually found this guy. He's on freaking death row. I think he has been since executed. That killed.
Aren't you glad they checked the middle initial?
Damn straight, because I discovered this quite by accident. It's awful. And he killed a guy in Richmond, Kentucky, during a robbery of the store or whatever, and they sent him to death row. and they end up, working all
White
over.
or black?
He's white.
I always have to ask
That's
because
right.
more as a
Because
percentage of the
there's a
population.
disproportionate.
Yes.
You will get that dang on conviction if you're black versus with your wife quicker. And that is a form of racism. I get it. I don't know how. I don't know what the dang on solution of that is.
Yeah, I don't either.
But ultimately, the fact that this guy here, there's no way he can ever completely pay for the people he killed. No way. And yet, for some reason, we've decided as a society that the death penalty is sufficient punishment. And I think that misses the bloody point.
I don't think necessarily that when you start thinking about it philosophical, because again, I think for most people it has nothing to do with
you dang straight.
punishment.
It
It's
doesn't go
just
there.
vengeance.
My gosh, we want it. He needs to quote unquote pay.
And
this
I
is
think
okay
the
with that.
recognition is people do recognize he can never pay for it, but the most that he can do to pay for it, to pay down as much of that quote unquote debt, is by dying.
Yeah, that's right.
So
it's our pound of flesh.
So in that respect,
we can only get a pound, but by God, we'll take our pound.
We may deserve 100 pounds, but we can only get 1 pound, so we'll take the 1 pound.
That's exactly it.
But
I'm getting wound up over.
You are, and you're
Well, that's what's
I've had like 100 things I've wanted to say, but I've not been able to get them in.
This episode,
it's not unheard of for me.
We got Francis all agitated. That makes for great episodes.
It does.
Whenever Francis is agitated, if I poke fun at Voltaire or whatever, and we get Francis agitated, we have a wonderful episode. But I think we're getting where we need to wrap this one up.
Yes, we almost certainly do.
Oh my God, we could talk so long about justice itself. We've done that before. We'll continue.
Well,
to do it
I don't
again.
know. I don't think we've ever really done a good episode on what is justice.
We've argued about the death penalty and stuff before.
Yeah, but I don't think we've ever done this similar kind of context. What is justice? Because I honestly, I think that's a question that not only every generation, but
that's brilliant.
Every country, every generation, every entity needs to ask that of itself.
Over and over again.
Over and over again, because it's so easy to lose sight of it.
And again, it's very difficult because some people think
yes,
dudes in women's bathrooms is justice,
and some people think it's not.
And some people are like, there's a well documented story. A woman with her young child goes into a locker room at a public gymnasium place, and there's a dude there, but he identifies as a woman. He wants to be in the woman's locker room. She goes to the staff of the gym and reports this, and she's the one that gets banned from the gym.
Right. Now
it's to some people that's justice. She got banned from the gym for
being a bigot.
But for a lot of us, it's like we understand she's just trying to protect her child, because this is not whether or not a grown man should be in a woman's locker room. A young child should not be exposed to that.
There are penises and there are vaginas, and there the twain shall meet.
I mean,
except in the lot,
unless we let everybody walk around naked, is okay, is a norm.
Yeah.
Then yes, there's a valid thing. Why is that man
give
private
kids
parts?
a chance?
Why is that penile person allowed into where only vaginas can go?
Yeah, I mean,
well, the kid's not going to think of it that way.
No, but that's our job to make sure they understand the difference.
Yeah, I mean, give kids a chance to grow up before they have to confront these things.
Well, and
it's like
and generally speaking, parents demand that.
Yeah, and again, you're right. That's a very extreme version, but yet very current.
Right, it's two different ideas of justice,
and they are mutually exclusive.
Yeah,
most forms of justice where we argue on it are not mutually exclusive. Yeah. Usually, it's degree, not kind.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Right, because again, and about the death penalty, you two are against it. I'm fine with allowing it. But I'm happy with restrictions. I'm happy with, yes, if the only thing is an eyewitness and there's a racial component, it should be.
You better look at that awfully damn carefully.
It better be under a microscope.
Right.
It definitely, and for states that have abolished the death penalty, I don't have an argument with it.
Well,
if that's what you want to do, fine.
They have.
Kentucky has it. Illinois doesn't, and I don't have a problem with that.
When I was for the death penalty, like you were, because as we all were at one point, right?
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, before you really became practicing your faith and became a deacon, you would have been for the
It was a
death penalty.
default position that society gave us.
Well,
We
well
had-
your
you-
your
you-
particular political party gave.
Yeah, you had to evaluate it in order to change it.
But the
And not
thing
everybody
is,
did.
though,
No, most people didn't bother.
yeah, most people didn't bother. It is the default position. But even when that would have been my, yep, I'm okay with that. Like you, it's like, well, when do you apply it? Like, I would not have applied it in the case of the guy who accidentally killed somebody, because I presume he did not go in there meaning to shoot the guy to get out of the party store, liquor store, or whatever. So accidental in the sense that was not his intent when he walked into the building. But even so, somebody ended up dying. I don't know. I don't think I would have supported the death penalty for that particular crime.
Yeah, once we learn about it, we realize that depends very much on the prosecutor, the defense attorney, and the entire system, whether or not this guy got the death penalty.
Right. Again, there's a careerist aspect to it. Is it good for me politically?
Yeah.
Though all of those pieces come into the.
Is there enough emotion out here in the political sphere, in the public sphere, that I can ride that into a conviction
if a
or
state
a
wanted to
acquittal?
limit it to a serial killer, okay, I'm fine with that. If you wanted to eliminate it for all except just the most egregious things.
But what is egregious?
Exactly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's where
And again, you're right. That is part of the problem, is how you define
we can have that discussion.
what is
Absolutely.
just, and how and what is just. The expression of that is justice, because our laws are an expression of our morality.
Yeah. And,
that's essentially what
the
that
hard
is.
part about making all of these decisions is that it requires thought.
Yes.
Oh,
That is very
is-
true.
We
He has
not to
slid back
think.
into that Martinism that we love so much.
So
Can't fix stupid.
that's right. You can't. Fix
Well,
stupid.
but not even that. It requires being thoughtful and not
You might not be stupid. That doesn't mean you think.
right. It
Let's figure-
requires going beyond the 5-second headline.
Yes.
It goes because you have to remember, clickbait existed before the internet. It's just worse now, but it was headline bait
Yes.
then.
Well,
I mean, there's people out there.
Weekly
Go,
World News, the National Enquirer. That was
Right.
clickbait.
yeah,
Only
it's
it was
just like, but I mean, now even the major news organizations do it.
right.
Because the headline's 5 words or 3 words, when the concepts are much more complex.
So give you an
And
example.
nobody wants to read any of that.
It's no longer Dewey defeats Truman.
Give you an example of the way clickbait has devolved into the shithole that it is.
Yeah.
So I occasionally read stuff on Substack,
Yeah.
and I have been seeing a crap ton of headlines, mainly because I'm also not on Facebook a whole lot anymore. I took it off of my phone. If I want to be on Facebook, I got to go to my computer to do it.
I deactivated my account.
Oh wow, you went all the way that far.
Yeah, you went. Yeah.
Went all the way.
Well, because I use Facebook Marketplace on occasion, I didn't want to go that
Yeah.
far, because I do have some stuff I need to put up on Facebook Marketplace. But anyways, I saw a headline that just struck me as the most absurd headline I've ever seen on any article.
Yeah.
Breaking. Whoever it was said something about something. What?
Huh.
WTF? How is that breaking news? How is that?
In many respects, that's all that news are these days. In many respects, whatever TV show you're interested in, they're going to tell you when it's coming back, even though they can't because they don't know it's not been announced. But they're going to talk about it, and they'll get you to click.
I mean, I don't know. I think
I get that
well,
all.
it-
I
more
mean,
than
I
you
think
might
that's a
imagine.
relatively.
That's
That's an algorithmic thing.
The clickbait is insert politician you don't like gets major stumbling block or gets major defeat.
Right.
And, because it's just feeding,
and-
you want to know
and
the
all it
guy
was-
you don't like got beat.
And all it was that he missed his favorite TV show that week. That
Yeah,
was his major
exactly.
defeat.
The major defeat is, oh well, he's going to have to sign the bill.
That's
Or-
what-
yeah, I mean,
and
it's-
you got
Like,
to
that's not a-
you got to move down 3 pages before you get to the answer to that question.
if
If it's
that,
answered at all.
if they even put it in at all,
Yeah,
because most stuff is all, even
It's like-
major media stuff borders on the illiterate to me.
So, oh yeah, absolutely. So all of the
Interesting. Well, that's a strong.
I get a
phrase
lot
to
of
use.
sports
I
related
like
stuff
that.
in my news feeds.
get
For
none.
the
I
place
get-
that I have news feeds.
I get none at all because I don't
And-
follow it.
Well, even
Isn't that
in
interesting?
Apple News, the stories that show up, I see a lot of stuff about X amount of options, or this team options for put this trade package together for Tarek Skubal, who is Cy Young winner in baseball, happens to be a Detroit Tiger, so that's why I see that back-to-back winner, best pitcher in baseball easily right now.
Isn't that funny? Because I get nothing like that. And
well, no, but see, I look for
right. The Paul Skeens to the Yankees things,
right, and it's things
supposedly that's happened. It's like that's not happening.
Well, and right, it's not happening, or it's like Skubal linked to the Dodgers. Right, because you wrote this article is why he's linked to the Dodgers.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes beyond sports. But yeah, it's huge in sports.
It's huge in sports
because it's wishful fan fulfillment.
It is, because usually the trade proposed trade is something like some 2 or 3 low A level scrubs that are never going to get past the level they're at for a superstar.
Yeah.
And they think that's a generous package.
Yeah, like that's going to happen.
Right.
And that's always written by the Dodger and Yankee fans who can't get enough.
Right.
They can't get enough. They're already the most successful 2 franchises in history.
So the question is, where does justice enter into that?
Yeah.
Is justice only at a country level? I mean, I don't think it is. I think there's justice between people. Because I'm trying to bring it back to the quote so we can close this episode
up.
Well, or criminal level, because
again,
criminal. Yeah,
well, and it's the same thing. The criminal justice is just how we define and regulate justice at the personal level. Because again, an inherent dignity respect for the inherent dignity of the human person. That's where it all breaks down, or that's where it all builds on.
Yep.
And that whole go back to the quote. Country being great by blood and conquering, there is no respect for human dignity there, especially when you're talking about mid 20th century, Stalin and Hitler or Mao.
War itself there's no such thing as dignity and sanctity for life.
Right. I mean, the church has a definition of just war, but man, it's very particular, and it is very very well defined.
Always from a defensive position too.
Right. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things that's hard for a lot of people to grasp. But a preemptive war is never just.
No.
Yeah.
So. I think we've pummeled this expired.
I don't know. I don't think we've even scratched the surface of this topic. But
we need to come
for
back
purposes of this episode, we have pummeled the expired equine.
Yeah, we must.
So we're only like 5 minutes short of the last episode, even though we said we were going to try and be much shorter this time. So
that's what it is.
But we got Francis agitated, so we had to let him run with it.
That's true.
I'll take that.
Well, we got you a little bit agitated too, I think.
That's true.
We got you a little worked up. Anyways, so that's Code of Honor for this month. If you are moved by any of our arguments and discussions, throw us a line, because I'd love to hear commentary on this from other
Snakes
people.
and Otters.
I'm not sure I would.
No, I would, because I think this is fascinating.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff because
I know, but it's like.
But you don't.
Why do I need to discuss this with anyone else when I have you two?
Well, okay,
very well.
That's fair. I was going to say, discussing it with other people helps you refine your own argument.
I know, but I have the whetstone of Francis and the hammer of Robert. And
very well put.
I don't think I can get any better.
He can forge the blade against me and sharpen it against you.
I'm loving it. I'm loving the.
That's a great analogy.
Very good analogy.
See, when we're OG, how good this is.
That's the whole reason we exist. Guys.
That's true.
That's right.
All right, so Francis, buddy, what's next?
Oh, next time.
Do we even know?
Oh, hell
oh,
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, you know, because we are going to be welcoming one of our very first guests. We've had a few drop-ins and drop-outs. We're actually going to not script, but we're going to bring in the local great author, Mick Williams. I've already got him set. We're going to be here.
Stoke-on-Trent originally.
Stoke-on-Trent
It's
originally.
local by way of Stoke-on-Trent.
That's right. We're going to have him in here next episode. We're going to talk about writing. Mick has published, I believe it's 15 novels at this point.
And he's had some traditionally plus some self-published.
That's
right?
correct. I think it's all traditional, but it's I think.
I thought he had done some self-publishing.
Again, we're going to let him talk about all his history, but I believe the number is 15 that he's had. He is my idol, and I suspect many of us. We met him at Imaginarium this year.
He's just a fun guy to talk to.
He's a fun guy. So you're going to love his English accent.
And he'll have a real accent, not just my fake one.
Absolutely. That's correct.
Right.
So join us here next time for a great Hoop-a-Jube episode. We're going to talk writing with Mick Williams. Thanks.
We hope you enjoyed another pointless discussion of eternal questions. Remember, new episodes drop every second and fourth Friday at 6 a.m. Eastern, just in time for your morning commute. And every fifth Friday, we drop a special Hoop-a-Jube episode. Spread the word we are on all the major platforms, and leave us a review. That helps others find us. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, as well as our website, snakesandotters.com. Join us next time, same snake time, same otter channel.